was fall of 2014. It was probably mid-October, and I was 10 years old at the time. It was a Friday in mid-autumn, which could only by being symbolized by the sky to also dictate my mood and the moods and the actions and the words of the people around me. The first half of the day, it was sunny. There was not a whole lot of clouds in the sky. It was cold though. I was excited. I was enthusiastic. I was ready to go. I was energized. I was in a good mood. I was looking forward to the field trip that I would take with my 5th grade class to the Annette Nature Center for the second episode of the Annette Nature Center. There would be 3 episodes. The first one, the one before, we did a variety of summer activities because it was in September, where we took canoes, we caught, pond creatures, and also walked on a non-ecological trail with like plastic plates and, cups in it that weren't, from the biosphere. I can remember that day I was so looking forward to go up to a tower that was like right along the river that I saw as I was canoeing that morning, to see what was going on from a new vantage point. To my disappointment, as I was walking up in the hot summer sun, dehydrated, physically exhausted, needing water, I remember hearing the voices of my classmates saying that there are wasp nests up here in the tower. At that point in time, I did not want to risk going up there at all. It was very disappointing, but I would not, simply disregard what they were saying because, again, I did not want to throw myself into climbing up all of those steps and then hear the buzzing and see the, the sight of the wasps and then get stung. But my friend Zane was with me at the time, and he is born in the month of August. If you're born, middle to late summer, he was born on the 29th of August. If you're born during that time of year, then you are a risk taker. And those little uncomforts of being hot, itchy, all those things when it comes to bugs, you just have an ability to let them roll right off of you, wash all over you. But I'm still to this day afraid of those creatures. He did encourage me to walk up those steps, get up there. And he said, come on, I'll protect you. But nope. No. I'll let them sting me so that they won't sting you. I admire the maturity. I admire the leadership quality. But I can't do it. You cannot force me to do that. It would have to be like, I don't know, $1,000 prize where I could go buy a mansion and then, do something beyond my wildest dreams for you to get me to go up there and do that. I remember, my associate that day, Mrs. Wilson, saying that my 5th grade teacher, who was named after an Italian ham, which if I had a wand, I would snap her into that for how she treated me and how I felt like I was walking on eggshells almost all the time that we were together. She said, she's down there in the canoe. She can hear you. She can hear what you're saying and how you're acting. A big theme for that day was bugs. Was like, caterpillars on your skin kind of climbing up you. I know that there was, several kids who had, adopted those creatures, and I got to feel one of those caterpillars actually on my finger for maybe the first time since I can remember. We went back to the little shelter that we were at, and I drank sink water when I didn't know that there was actually a water fountain up, up at the, up at this big building, the Annette Nature Center, headquarters, I want to call it, building. And that was just that direction. That was just to the west. We got on the bus. I started out the bus trip. It actually started pretty good, and this was going back to the school, back to Wilder. And I started sitting with a girl in my class, and I wanted to sit with my friend. And when all of a sudden I saw him saying, come here, sit with me, I just, oh my goodness, it was like all of a sudden something went off on me, and he was a magnet drawing me in. Exactly. Just like the siren song. Drawing me in, and I automatically just went over there. I really, really liked him. He was somebody that I felt like I wanted to be with. However, I would sort of regret that. Because he did have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. I don't mean to get into the details of that, but I felt like I was kind of walking on eggs, and I felt like, I just did not feel content. And I felt like I couldn't just relax and take a breath because I didn't know when or what he was gonna throw at me, say, do, move around, try to bother me and, irritate me with, and try to, make me mad. And of course, it doesn't mean it, but that's what I'm talking about. That impulsive ADHD behavior. And so it progressed, and as it progressed, I got, more and more irritated, and I could have, said something and got mad, but, knowing my fifth grade teacher, I didn't want to, I didn't want to, really raise my voice, but I was trying to, be assertive and take care of it. Just try to stand up for myself and, just try to get through the ride as best as I could. And this would crop up again and again and again with the, with the more, trips and field trips that we would go on. Throughout the fall of 2014, and then also getting into the winter and the spring of 2015. I remember staring. I remember looking right across from, the girl that I, started sitting with, and I don't remember what she said exactly, but she said something like, I think that sitting next to me would have been the better idea. And at that moment, I agreed, and I wish I could go back over there, but you have to understand, I was, I couldn't do it, because I did not want to get caught doing it, because the bus was moving, and I wouldn't want to change seats, and I wouldn't know how I would sneak my way to do that, so I sat there, and I suffered. We got back. I was hot. I was tired. My teacher did not, address the whole class and go off on a rage and a rampage, getting really mad, but she did invite a couple people over to her desks, over to her, where she was sitting. She did have a word with them, have a chat with them, and I think that, Zane was one of them. And I think that the trip went well, and we would go back to, to the Annette Nature Center later on that fall. And we did just that. It was Friday morning. I remember waking up that morning, feeling, ready to start the day in a good mood, in a good mindset, feeling emotionally and mentally well. I got up, I sat down, I watched a couple of Chowtalia episodes, on my mom's computer, old clips from old episodes. And if you don't know what Chowtalia is, it's it's an Italian cooking show, with Marian Esposito. I remember doing that. I got dressed, I had breakfast, I brushed my teeth. My mom was in the kitchen preparing my lunch, which consisted of, like a, Lunchable. It was like, with pizza. It had like a flat bread pizza with cheese and pepperoni, and I can still taste it thinking about it, with a juice box, some fresh raspberries as well, and maybe another dessert or applesauce to go in there. We got into the car. I put my lunch and backpack into the back seat. Then I got into the car. We rode up the hill to Wildowitz in that direction, and she dropped me off at the park, the little place where you drop your kids off right next to the door. And little did I know that later on I would be missing her quite a bit, and I would be feeling very disappointed in how it would go. She said, "Have a nice day, and I hope have fun. I can't wait for you to tell me all about it." Well, at the end of the day, I certainly couldn't wait to get it off my chest. And what I would get off my chest was not anything positive by much at all. I went into school that morning, walked down the hall. The classroom was in the red hallway near the second grade classrooms I went in. I had my own locker. I put my bag and my lunchbox into the locker, and then I shut it, sat down in my seat, and maybe we did a little bit of school work that morning. I don't remember. Then, after that, we got ready to go. She probably, my teacher probably addressed the class. Talking through the expectations and everything, and what we were going to do, things like that. I don't remember. We went on the bus, which we would take to the Annette Nature Center. So we rode, and we got near Hy-Vee, and you turn right to like a gravel road, and then go down there, and then you turn, go that direction. So you go west, and then you go, you go south, excuse me, then you go west. Whenever I was on the bus, going on any trip or, excursion, I always just felt this really just uncomfortable, really tense feeling. I didn't know if anyone would act up. It made me feel, very, very insecure and just very uncomfortable. Sitting next to someone that I didn't know very well, or that I just didn't trust. So anyway, it was kind of a neutral, what you'd expect from 5th graders bus drive. We got there. We got out. We went to the shelter. And I remember then, Mrs. Jacobson, Miss Jacobson, I can't remember if it was Mrs. or Miss, married or unmarried, widowed, Miss J, kind of went through what the day would look like, how we should act, what are the rules and expectations. And she said, "I don't want anyone complaining. I don't want any one of you complaining, saying, 'I'm cold, I'm cold.' Well, it's your responsibility to bring a sweater or a jacket with you." That was a little mockery she made of like a like a a student who was Then she did the same with saying and I also don't want to hear when is lunch, when is lunch. Well, it'll be when it'll be. She said something along those lines, which I kind of related to a little bit because I got hungry, standing up in the cold and it would be a long morning and then just waiting for that moment when I would open my lunch needed. That morning we went into that big building that I talked about, up on the hill that was like the central building for the headquarters for the Nature Center. We went in there and there was a woman there that was going to be showing us and talking through to us how we would make dream catchers. So the whole theme that we were looking at was Native American survival and lifestyle, the things that they did to survive, the things that they did kind of on the side as, entertainment. So one of the things that they did was make dream catchers, and that I did. And I wasn't, really good at making a dream catcher. I just didn't, it just didn't, I had trouble trying to create it. And I had someone to do it with me. Then after that took a while, we then went outside and Mrs. Jacobson had us do something that involved wood and leaves. And I don't remember what we were doing, but I knew that it had to do with both of those two things. I was partnered up with a group. I remember, walking into the field and touching a leaf. Like touching just like a sappy white poisonous. It wasn't poisonous, but it was just like sticky and it got on my fingers. And it wasn't that bad, and I didn't, really complain, but just that's kind of one of my pet peeves is, my fingers or my skin or my legs getting sticky, because I hate stickiness. I had lunch. I had the Lunchable and then the raspberries, and there was like a father, one of the students in my class who was there that maybe made a comment about raspberries and how maybe he didn't like raspberries. I don't remember. Everybody has their preferences. But so, after lunch was when things started to shift. It was leading into when things would get bad. After we ate lunch, we then went into a field with this woman who ran the Annette Nature Center. Well, she didn't run it, but she was just part of it, and she worked there. We would build a teepee. It would be a team and a group effort, the students collectively. And she talked maybe about, the history and, the culture of teepees and when and how they were used. And then, she said something about it falling down, which was a big theme, which I will get into here. But this might fall down, so fair warning or something like that. I don't remember exactly. Something like that. Maybe it was something else, but it did have to do with the teepee falling. So we all pitched in. I, probably pitched in to create create the thing and build it up. And at that time, the sky was getting cloudy. It was starting to it was becoming cloudy. The sun was going away. The gray clouds were coming in, and then that set the scene. There's a saying, "As above, so below." Exactly how it went. It was coincidence, really, but still, it does make sense. And I'll get into that. So then I remember just what I was feeling was just really, really unsure of you know myself and then them, and I was scared and I was worried and I was nervous that at any moment it could come falling down. And I knew that that she knew what she was doing, but I just did not want to be in a situation with the students that I was with, and then the thing just come crashing down. And it was really, really tall, and she shouldn't have said anything because then she got me all kind of worked up inside. And so I remember going up to her, and I remember asking, is this going to fall down? Is this going to stay up? Um, and I don't know if I asked what you were doing or not. I don't know. I probably didn't. But, she said, no, it's not going to fall down. Don't worry, it's not going to fall down. And I wasn't asking her with any intentions of being mean, of being negative, pestering, bothering her by any means. There was not a bone of that in my body. Not a single bone of that in my